Hi there, welcome to this month's Patreon review request. This is the list of review requests submitted by my supporters in July. In July. I'm doing this in early August. If you support me for $10 or more on my Patreon campaign, once a month you'll get a message from me saying, hey, what's something you'd like me to review? Something you love, something you hate, something you want to troll me with, something you're curious about, a book, a movie, whatever, a game. And then you can reply with your choice, and I'll do a video like this, and we'll do a drawing, which is what we're about to do now. But to begin, I'm getting a little bit managing a lot here. I have a cat and a beer. The beer is a little bit easier to deal with. All right, this is a Milk Stout Nitro. You hard pour it, and this is a Milk Stout Nitro glass, kindly sent to me by Alex C. I've not had one of these in a long time. Oh dear. Oh gosh, here we go. Actually, I'm gonna wait for that foam to die down. Let's go through the first couple of picks. Oh, that looks so good. All right. The first submission is Hoarder S, The Thief Dark Project, which is a game that's about, I think, 80, 90 years old. I can't imagine that holds up. And Lucas N, for our second pick, has asked for Thief 2 Metal Age. I think that one's only about 50 years old. They made that shortly after World War II, I believe. So these interesting choices, my counter recommendation, and what I'll do with these, you probably know this by now, you suggest something and I'll come up with a counter recommendation, which is, there goes a cat, which is not necessarily something that I'm recommending, it's just something that your choice put me in mind of. So, do you want out? Hold on, I have to cat management. No, all right. I don't really speak cat. When he talks, it's either feed me, or pay attention to me, or let me out, or don't make me take that pill. They all sound alike to me. Okay, my counter recommendations for these are stealth games that, because Thief sort of invented this stealth genre, that I think are the best examples in the genre of stealth games. I'm not super fond of stealth, but one of the games that I really like is called Monaco. What's yours is mine. It's a top-down retro graphics little affair with asymmetrical characters. You probably know about Monaco by now. Monaco, I think, is a great example of how you can play with stealth and gadgets and character powers. So that would be a counter recommendation. And because there's Thief and Thief 2 that have been suggested, my other one, and I think I've mentioned this one before, Splinter Cell Blacklist, which I think is a great stealth game for how it segues between stealth and action. So there you go, those are my counter recommendations. Number 3, Jeff S. Wait, hold on a second. Oh man, that's good. Jeff S. and Alex C., fellow who gave me this, and actually who turned me on to this Milk Stout Nitro, both requested Andy Daly's review. You guys have mentioned this before. One of the things that intrigues me about this is how coy people are about stick through to the end of the season. So I am super curious about Andy Daly's review. Whether it gets picked or not, I will definitely check it out. My counter recommendations this month. I know Andy Daly from Eastbound and Down, a Danny McBride sitcom. There's an actor in Eastbound and Down named Steve Little. His character's name is Steve as well, I think. He's sort of an overweight, dorky, dopey-looking guy, a very comic actor. Steve Little I've seen in a couple of obscure movies that I'm now going to recommend because I haven't seen a lot of stuff that Andy Daly has been in. So we're going with a different Eastbound and Down album. Steve Little is in a movie, and because we have recommendations from both Jeff S. and Alex C., I've got 2 movies. Let's see, which one? One of them is a weird horror movie, and the other one's a weird... It's kind of a horror movie. It's a weird buddy movie. Anyway, the first one, and this one is for... Alex, this one's for you. Catechism Cataclysm. Dopey name, but Steve Little, he's great in it. He's fantastic. He's basically playing his Stevie character from Eastbound and Down, but in a very different context. He's a priest, and it's a weird movie, and where it goes is especially weird. This other movie that he's in, it's a recent release. This other movie I don't think is very good. And I'm kind of cheating because Steve Little isn't in it very much. He's got one scene, I think. He shows up and refers the main character to someone else who is also a comic character actor you might know from Better Call Saul. I think he was in Breaking Bad. He works for a pharmacy company and he drives a big old yellow Humvee, and he hires Mike Ehrmantraut a couple of times, and he's just a complete dork. Where's the cat going? All right, letting the cat out. Cat's out. Anyway, that character on Better Call Saul, his name is Mark Proksch. Proksch, I think. And I've seen, he's been in a lot of TV stuff, but he is the lead character in this other movie I'm going to recommend called Another Evil. Another Evil is a horror comedy. Unfortunately, the lead actor is a bit of a dud, but Mark Proksch, who is the other lead actor, he's the Max von Sydow role, if you will. He's an exorcist that comes in. Mark Proksch is amazing in this. They give the guy a lot to work with. He really shows what he can do. He's not just a clown like they have him doing in Better Call Saul. So if you like character actors, Mark Proksch really gets a chance to shine in Another Evil. Unfortunately, it's not a great movie. And it's got Steve Little from Eastbound and Down. There you go. That's number 3 and 4. Number 5, Ronnie A. suggests March Violets, a book by Philip Kerr. I didn't know much about this. I looked it up, and it's, I don't know if Ronnie mentioned this, but it's a Berlin noir from like the 30s. All the book covers have pictures of these beautiful femme fatales. They're sepia toned. So that's number 5. My counter recommendation, when I think of Berlin, holy cats, Ronnie A., have you seen Atomic Blonde? It's a period piece set in Berlin that kind of knocked my socks off. That's my counter recommendation. And that is a serious recommendation. Some of these other things have caveats. No caveats with Atomic Blonde. Number 6, Will G. All right, Will G. Lock and Key, a comic book by Joe Hill, which I have here because a friend of mine owns it. Now, I don't know if you watched the video last month, but Joe Hill and I do not get along. I am not a fan of Joe Hill. He's Stephen King's son. Will, in his recommendation and suggestion, said, I know you're not into Stephen King. I've never read any other Joe Hill. I've heard he's like his father, but edgier. So I want to suggest this because I really liked this. That's what Will said. So, all right, Will, you are number 6. If this gets rolled up, fine. Will mentioned, by way of selling this, that it's imaginative, neatly crafted narration, and it retains a sense of fun, more so than he felt that some of Joe Hill's father's stuff does. So there you go. All right, and it's a comic book. It's one of those little funny books, for children. This I actually didn't know about. Look what it says there. Welcome to Lovecraft. Okay. My counter recommendation, I just finished it, about a month ago. This is awesome. This also is like a little comic book for children, but it's not for children. It's for adults. They cuss. There's weird sort of impressionistic artwork. The characters are, like you can tell from the cover, grotesquely exaggerated. Elektra Assassin is great stuff. Chris Marketson recommended this for me, and I'm so glad he did. So that's my counter recommendation, Will. If you want comic books, check that thing out. It's old, but it's great. Okay, Colton W., Look Who's Back. Now I have seen this, Colton W. You've suggested this several times, and I finally was like, okay, I'm going to sit down and watch this. Yeah, wow. I have thoughts, suffice to say. So I kind of hope that wins because, I have some very serious reservations about Look Who's Back, which is a comedy about what if Hitler returned in modern day Germany, how would people react to him? Knowing what they know about Hitler. What if he was transported forward in time? So there you go, that's Colton's pick. Colton, I'm not crazy about it. It's intriguing, it's thought-provoking. I don't think it works for various reasons that have to do with the actor and with ways that I think the script whitewashes a lot about what's some fundamentals about Adolf Hitler. If they really wanted to make the point, Well, at any rate, if it wins, I have a lot to say. Here's my counter recommendation for you, Colton W. I got the feeling at times that they were playing this as a Borat kind of deal, where this guy dressed up as Hitler would walk around and talk to folks, and they would shoot it and then edit out the best bits and put them in as part of the movie. And this is clearly the case because there are times where he's talking to people and their faces blurred out because they couldn't get someone's consent or something. So a lot of this was filmed, I guess, improvisationally with people on the street. Here is one of my favorite examples of that kind of comedy, that Borat style. There are a couple of actors named Amy Hoggart and Ed Gamble. I think they're both British. They pretend to be British royalty way down the line of succession in a show called Almost Royal. It's more about their comedy. It's not like Borat and Look Who's Back. It's not so much a lot of social commentary. It's more about pranking people, but they're very good at it. And I really love Almost Royal. I think it just had a season or two. They've done some web clips, but I think they've moved on. Amy Hoggart, now you'll see her on Samantha Bee's Full Frontal a lot. I don't know what became of Ed Gamble, but there you go. There's my counter recommendation, Almost Royal. Number 8, Jarmo P, the board game Scythe, which I quite like, and Jarmo P specifically said, what do you think of the solitaire? I can tell you, Jarmo, I don't think the solitaire works. When you have a board game designed for adversarial play with multiple players, and you put in a bot, basically scripted rules to stand in for the other players, I rarely think that works. As a matter of fact, I can't think of any game that's specifically designed as multiplayer that I think is as good at solitaire as a dedicated solitaire game. So, Scythe, very, very good game. Great work from Jamie Stonemeyer, but not a viable solo game. So, Jarmo, my counter recommendation is a solo game I've recently stumbled across that I'm totally in love with. This thing here, don't be fooled by these silly, colorful... This looks like something that Days of Wonder would publish, right? This is a serious, hardcore, brain burner puzzle with crazy asymmetry and super thematic co-op game, but don't play it co-op. I mean, if you're into that, fine. For me, it's a solitaire game, and it's great as a solitaire game, is choosing a couple of these gods that complement each other and trying to, well, what you're doing is you're driving back colonists who are coming to your island. You're like a primeval god, and you don't want them settling on your island and despoiling its beauty. So you use your godly powers to scare them off, literally. That's your objective. Co-op game, fantastic solitaire game. I definitely will be writing this up. I love this thing. So there's my counter recommendation, Jarmo P. Scythe, very good, not for solitaire. Number 9, Soren H. mentions The Wailing. The Wailing is a Korean, it's kind of a counterpart to The Exorcist. What if The Exorcist was a Korean movie? Kind of. Was steeped in Korean culture. The Exorcist we have, the William Friedkin movie, is very much about Catholicism and Christian faith. What if that kind of storytelling was set in Korea? A Korean director, very Korean characters, which means it's kind of baffling for me to watch. There are parts of The Wailing that kind of go over my head. They're not working for me. So The Wailing is weird. It's really good filmmaking. It's very culturally specific, and it's fascinating. And I love what it does with this idea of the devil, like Satan. They don't call him that, but their version of the devil. I love the actor who plays their exorcist in it. He's great. The lead actor's weird. I guess it's a sort of a Korean thing, but the lead actor is this, I don't know if it's Korean. The lead actor is this hapless policeman who is lazy and shiftless and doesn't want to have to work and is terrified of what's happening and doesn't have a lot of courage, easily given to histrionics. So The Wailing, fascinating movie. I should quit talking because it might win and I'll have to write all this down. So my counter recommendation, Soren H., I'm sure you've seen this, but another movie that is very specifically Korean, but very oddly relevant. Well, in South Korea in 1979, and this is batshit insane. I can't believe this happened, and I never heard of this till I saw the movie. In 1979, the head of Korea's CIA, which was also their internal security apparatus at the time, there had been a dictator running Korea for a while, but he was our dictator. He was on our side of the Cold War. It's what happens when you're sitting just south of North Korea. So this dictatorial president of South Korea in 1979 was shot in cold blood by the head of the CIA, the Korean CIA, which he had used as an apparatus to sort of rein in opposition. It would be as if, not as if Mike Podesta shot Donald Trump in the head, because they're not necessarily, well, maybe it would be that. Yeah, it would be like if Podesta, who's the head of the CIA today, shot Donald Trump and attempted a coup. So there's a movie called The President's Last Bang, odd title, by a young Korean director who does controversial movies. I'm not going to attempt his name, and I also can't remember it. The President's Last Bang, that's my counter recommendation. A fascinating incident, really good filmmaking. He's obviously this young Tarantino-esque, he's of that generation. So I recommend that. And The Wailing, I also kind of recommend with caveats. Andrew S. Oh man, I love this thing. Andrew S. recommended a game that I didn't know what it was. He said the title and I was like, what? I've never heard of that. And then looked it up and I was like, oh yeah, I had heard of that. I've played it. I would never have remembered that's what it's called. A game called 7 Grand Steps, What Ancients Begat. And I think there's even another Step 1. Or no, I think it's 7 Grand Steps, Step 1, What Ancients Begat. Right? That's the name of a game. It's on Steam, I promise. Look it up. It's this weird strategy game about running a dynasty, an ancient family. And there's nothing quite like it, as Andrew points out. So Andrew, my counter recommendation, I've been fiddling with this lately. I don't think I can call it up. There's a great game everybody knows called Oasis, right? I think it was a Flash game for a long time that similarly chains together these little episodes of strategic gameplay to create a sense of an ongoing dynasty. I don't know if the original Oasis had this meta level, but the iOS Oasis has this, and it's a great game. So there's my counter recommendation. Although there's nothing quite like this What Ancients Begat game. Very original. All right, number 11, Joseph M. Consider Phlebas, which I am looking forward to reading. That is his recommendation. Don't know much about it. The Player of Games was my first foray into the Culture series by Ian Banks, thanks to Joseph M. here. So my counter recommendation, being that I don't know a lot, I'm going to read the first sentence. Prologue. The ship didn't even have a name. Wait a minute. Hold on. One of the cool things about the Culture series is the names of the ships. Why would they do that? Okay, intrigued. My counter recommendation. So consider Phlebas is second person imperative, right? So given that I don't know much about this, here's my counter recommendation. Another second person imperative title. I only know Catcher in the Rye. I think I've read Franny and Zoe. So here is J.D. Salinger that's not Catcher in the Rye holds up, of course. That's great. You think of it as a book you had to read when you were a kid in school. Catcher in the Rye is great for adults as well. And of course, J.D. Salinger is fantastic. I have this and have not read it. So Joseph M., try that. Second person imperative titles. There's another one. There's a whole bunch of them. Okay. Andrew S. Another Andrew S. There's a couple of you guys. I'll be meeting one of you soon. I'm looking forward to this. BioShock 2. I don't know if I've said this to you guys. I think I've mentioned this maybe on podcasts, but I sort of find myself sometimes idly thinking, hey, what if I'm in a job interview and someone says, what's the best game of all time? Just they want to see how you would react. You don't want to sit there and go, oh, I don't know. I wouldn't really pick any best game. No, that would make a terrible impression. You come up with an answer, and you defend it, and you talk about it. My answer would be BioShock 2. Or at least it would have until a few years ago. So my counter recommendation is Grand Theft Auto 5. which also is in the running for what would be my quick, snappy answer, followed up by some pretentious talk, of course, about what's the best video game of all time. So I'm sure you've played that, Andrew, who hasn't played Grand Theft Auto 5, but there's my counter recommendation. BioShock 2 is fantastic, though. Clay H, Zork, really? Zork. And he did specify Zork 1. It's text. It's those old text games and weird, pointless adventure, text game logic. Okay. Clay H, now here's an example. I think of those old text games. I think that can't possibly be any good. I sometimes think that about older forms of entertainment, including movies. The movie that finally brought me around to realizing, old silent movies, guys like Buster Keaton, those are great. And the only silent movie I really know, which I think is amazing, is The General, which isn't about a general. So I recommend that, Clay H. You might have seen it. But that's my response to Zork 1. Chris M., the second season of The Wire. Wow, all right. I mean, I would probably watch it anyway, but yeah, good. I'm just finishing up the first season. All right, here's my counter recommendation. Earlier, several months ago, one of the winners of the Patreon review request was a cartoon called Rick and Morty. Watched the first season. Early on, it wasn't working for me. Eventually, I came around, and I really liked it. But the second season of Rick and Morty, oh my God, super smart science fiction. I mean, regardless of it being a cartoon, regardless of it being a comedy, just some really good science fiction. And specifically, the final episode of the second season and the first episode of the third season as kind of connective tissue. If you think of them as one episode, man, that is some amazing stuff. Yeah, so that's my counter recommendation. As far as getting into the second season of a TV show, I don't think you can appreciate Rick and Morty till you get to the end of the second season and the beginning of the third season. Fantastic stuff. Chris H., Invisible Bridge, a Rick Perlstein book. I was going to read Nixonland. Rick Perlstein, this is he's written about the Nixon era. Nixonland is about Nixon's ascent to power, I believe. And Invisible Bridge is about the downfall of Nixon. Okay. And Chris even said, I was going to recommend Nixonland, but no, I'm jumping ahead to Invisible Bridge. Nixon's a putz. So the stuff that I like from that time, this is old, and you've probably read this, Chris H. But and I also think David Halberstam isn't he a sports writer? I think he writes about baseball. This is a book from actually I think we were still in Vietnam when it was published, 72 or something. No, it can't be right. Maybe it is. Anyway, this is an exhaustive book, and Halberstam is a super readable writer, but a lot of words here about how we got involved in Vietnam. And as a narrative from that era, Kennedy, Nixon, Johnson, that to me is far more fascinating than that putz Nixon and what he did and how he was brought low. It might be more relevant these days, but I'm more fascinated by Kennedy's good intentions getting us involved in what happened in Vietnam, and that's what Best and the Brightest is about. Chris, you've probably read that, but there's my counter recommendation. All right, Matt B, Battle Brothers, which is a serious, it's tactical, right? Yeah, like a tactical, it's like an XCOM-y game, but the characters are little bobbleheads. Now, don't let that fool you, because it is a very serious game. It's hardcore-ish. So my counter recommendation, Matt B. It's kind of also a game I haven't played, but I've heard great things about. There's a war game called Unity of Command that also has like little dudes' heads. It's a serious war game. It would normally have that NATO symbology for the chits and whatnot, but no, they're little tiny heads like in Battle Brothers. There's my counter recommendation. One of these days I will play Unity of Command, and then I'll be able to recommend it with some authority. For now, though, I just suggest maybe give that a shot. I do like Battle Brothers, though. All right, Sam S. The Ring Cycle? Really? The whole thing. Die Ring das Nibelungen, all... It's 16 hours. It's like 4 4-hour operas. Really? I would do that. I would relish the opportunity to sit for 16 hours and listen to my CDs, which are in the garage. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So here's my counter recommendation. I did whip out my. Actually, I had this in here. I love the artwork on this. Tristan and Isolde is a hard sell, though. I think you have to be a Wagner fan. Yeah, you have to be patient with Tristan and Isolde. The overture is fantastic, though. It breaks my heart. Amazing piece of music. But here's my counter recommendation instead of that. I just wanted to show you that cover art here. Let me show you again. It's great stuff. My counter recommendation, which has terrible cover art, Wagner is, normally people think of Wagner as big and triumphant and epic and, Wagner bellows, but, like the overture of Tristan und Isolde, nothing like that, super tender. There is the overture to Parsifal, which I just showed you, is a boring cover. Honest to God, I have used medicinally. The overture to Parsifal treats nausea. And I know I'm sitting here like some crazy holistic oil salesman or something, but I seriously, God's honest truth, when I have felt nauseous in the past, and there are times where like I've had to deal with nausea, it's something that I'm going through. If I put on Parsifal's overture, I don't know about the rest of the opera, whatever, it's just the overture, and just lie still and listen to it, like it almost sounds like you're drifting through clouds or something. It treats nausea. It is amazing. So that is my counter recommendation. Next time you are, you're ill or maybe you're hungover or whatever, put on the overture to Parsifal. Let Wagner cure what ails you. And I'm not being facetious. I'm serious about that. Speaking of facetious, Nota B says, review Generation X, the book or the generation. Okay, Nota B. Now, I think I'm Generation X. I think I'm a little too old to be Generation X, a little too young to be a baby boomer. I'm at that uncomfortable cusp. So I don't know if Nota B is expecting me to review it from the inside or from the outside. I don't know. If this gets picked, I'm just going to read the book and write about it. My counter recommendation, Nota, is a review of Millennials given by a character in a Noah Baumbach movie called Greenberg. The character's name is Greenberg. He's played by Ben Stiller. And there's a part near the end of the movie where he is stuck at a party in the Hollywood Hills at a nice house with a bunch of young people. And he's totally coked up and he's trying to get them to listen to Duran Duran. And they will have none of it. And he delivers a very brief, it's like 2 or 3 lines, review of Millennials. And I will leave you to discover that. That is my counter recommendation. David D. I love this sort of creative recommendation. It's the California weather. David D. And he mentioned it as if it was a good thing. I cannot stand the relentlessly oppressive pleasantness of California weather. And I mean that seriously. And I think it's from living here a long time. I seriously hate California weather. I'm not being facetious. It's pleasant all the time. And that's a terrible thing. Because when it's pleasant all the time, it's never pleasant. Parse that. Okay, my counter recommendation. This is the most amazing weather I've ever experienced. A thunderstorm in Arkansas. If you can experience that, that is the pinnacle that weather has to offer, in my opinion. And that's part of why I hate California weather. We never get thunderstorms. 2 days ago here, this happens maybe once every 2 years, a peal of thunder during a very, very brief summer afternoon shower, thunder. 1 peal of thunder. That's all I get for 2 years now. All right, California weather, David Diaz, number 19. Number 20, Bruce G., Paradise of the Blind. And he sent me this. Bruce G., thank you very much. I read the first line of this. Okay. So this is it's by a Vietnamese author, and well, I'll give you my counter recommendation in a minute. I just want to read you the first line of this. Okay, this is the translator's note. This novel begins in the 80s. It's narrated by a young Vietnamese woman from the dormitory of a Russian textile family where she works. That got my attention. And I fast forwarded to the beginning of chapter 1. Here's the first line. It was 9 o'clock when Madame Vera handed me the telegram. I'll just leave you with that. So Paradise of the Blind, Bruce G. recommends this. Bruce G., I feel awfully facile doing this. This was before I read the first line of this and knew nothing about it. My counter recommendation, have you seen Blind Fury with Rutger Hauer? It's really good. And I'm not joking. Blind Fury, the Rutger Hauer movie. It's a sort of a westernized version of Zatoichi about a blind swordsman. And it's great 80s action cinema. So there you go, Bruce G. All right. Number 21, Sandu B. Boy, this is a pretty interesting pick. Sandu B is a friend of mine. I know this fella. He lives here in LA. His request, Tom, meet me at the Falls Lounge here in Los Angeles on a Sunday night when they have karaoke and sing with me a song from the Muppet movie called, I don't even know the song, Moving Right Along. I don't know what that song is. I'm not up on my Muppet movie. Sandu, all right, that's your request. If we roll a 21, that's what's going to happen. Can I promise video of that? Like, do lounges let you video karaoke? They've got to. What are they going to do to stop you? Yeah. So that would be a video review, I guess. All right, Sandu. My counter recommendation, dude, why don't you just play Rock Band with me sometime? Rock Band is great. Anybody who comes to LA, come over to my house, we'll play board games, then we'll play Rock Band. Get a beer in me, and I'll do some serious rock banding with you, and I will even sing. I can't sing to save my life, but I will do it in Rock Band for 3 songs. There's only 3 songs in Rock Band that I will sing. But I will sing one of those if you play Rock Band with me. All right, Eric G. A book called 5th Season. Eric said, a friend of mine recommended it to me. I don't know much about it. I want you to, to be on point. Check it out. 5th Season by N.K. Jensen. I just briefly looked up, because 5th Season, what are you going to do with that? It's apparently some sort of a end of the world book, like some apocalypse thing. Okay, good. And Eric, it is actually on the way to my library. I put it on hold. Here's my counter recommendation. Now, these counter recommendations aren't always because something is good. Sometimes I'm going to counter recommend something that is just insane, that you have to be capable of hate watching things to appreciate. So this is, I was going to say, once I found out this was an end of the world, I guess apocalypse kind of book, I was thinking, okay, what's my favorite end of the world apocalypse story? And there's just so many different kinds of them that I don't know that I could pick one. It would probably be a zombie one. I don't know. But rather than go with that angle, I'm just going to give you, Eric G., the name of a show that is incredibly bad, but mind-bogglingly, entertainingly bad. It helps if you're a fan of Anne Heche. I am. She's crazy. She's completely committed to this show, despite how awful it is. It's called Aftermath. And it's kind of a family show, and it's she's like a mom and a family, and she's got her kids with her, and they're trying to survive the apocalypse. Now, the amazing thing about this show, and I don't mean amazing in necessarily a good way, is the nature of this apocalypse. Because, you have pandemics, you have zombie apocalypses, you have an asteroid might hit the Earth, you have the Day of the Triffids, lots of things happen to end the world. Nuclear war, that used to be a big one. Wait till you see how the world ends in Aftermath. It's ridiculous. The show is so goofy. Matt C. Matt C., you're a real trooper. Once again, he's voting for 7 Kingdoms 2, an old RTS by Trevor Chan. Matt C., here you go. Here's my counter recommendation. A really, really good, full-fledged, real-time strategy game that I think a lot of folks don't realize is a real-time strategy game because they think of it as, it's taken a while to get there. It started out as kind of a little tactical puzzle game, a series of tactical puzzles, and then it got a campaign layer put on top of it. And it is now a bona fide, serious, really, really good real-time strategy game. It could hold its own, no joke, next to things like StarCraft II, Age of Empires 3, a game called Infested Planet. Look it up on Steam. I love that game. That's my counter recommendation, Matt C. All right, 24. Aqua M, that's what his name is, Aqua M. I don't want to say his whole last name, it begins with M. Cowboy Bebop? Really? You're going to make me watch anime? Now, I've flirted with anime. I don't think I've ever seen anime. Certainly nothing like, Cowboy Bebop or Sailor Moon or, I don't know, what's other anime? I don't even know other anime. So, okay, Aqua M, Cowboy Bebop. Now, maybe it will be the anime, is it a series even? Is it a movie? It's got to be a series, right? Maybe it'll be the anime that makes me realize, oh, hey, anime is not bad. I can appreciate anime. So my counter recommendation, Aqua M, is the game that made me realize, oh, hey, JRPGs can be good. Maybe I don't hate JRPGs. As a matter of fact, I credit this game with making me, right now, eager to get around to playing that Final Fantasy XII remaster. I mean, I know basically, I fiddled with Final Fantasy XII way back when, didn't get very far with it, but I kind of want to try it again through these new eyes that I have acquired since playing what I'm now counter-recommending to you, Xenoblade Chronicles. Not X. X is very, very good, but not as good as Xenoblade Chronicles, the original one. So Aqua M, have you played that? If not, and if you're at all shy, actually, who is going to recommend anime who also is wary of JRPGs? I don't know what I'm thinking. Well, to anyone out there who's wary of JRPGs, Xenoblade Chronicles. Let that bring you around. 25, Tony T. Oh my God, a Tarkovsky movie I've never even heard of. And if I haven't heard of it, oh, it's got to be so tedious, right? I don't know. There's a Tarkovsky movie called Nostalgia that Tony T recommends, that he wants me to review. All right, Tony T. So my counter recommendation, Russian cinema and me, it's not my bag. There's a Russian movie from, it's 3 years old, 4 years old, called Leviathan, which is really, really good. Leviathan, he's a younger filmmaker, and it's basically about what a thuggish kleptocracy Russia has become. Probably has been all along. But Leviathan is a great movie. Oh, not the Peter Weller one. There's a Peter Weller movie called Leviathan where he fights undersea creatures. Don't see that one. That's not the one. That one's terrible. All right, number 26, John R. Space Chem. Really, John R. Space Chem is like a chemistry puzzle game, isn't it? And isn't it like punishingly difficult? I don't know. All right, well, all right, John R. Here's my counter recommendation. There's a clicker game called Idle Evolution. Yep, came out a few months ago. What you do is, and it's a clicker, so you're just clicking stuff and letting numbers go up and clicking stuff and more numbers go up. No meaningful gameplay whatsoever. I got sucked into it for a while. You are combining atoms to create things on you're filling in the spaces on the periodic table of the elements, and then you seed planets with these various elements, and they come together and create life, and then you move to a different planet. It's ridiculous. Like, I think it starts out at the atomic level. You start out with like a hydrogen atom, and then you do something to get a second one, and it's insanely, it's all chemistry, which I kind of love about it. It's insanely devoid of any meaningful gameplay, but like any clicker, it's kind of fascinating, and it's a subject matter that, you know what, if you're going to recommend Space Chem, give Idle Evolution a shot. All right, and finally, Johan G, 2017. Yep, he said, review the year 2017. Did I forget to show you guys anything? No. Wow, yeah, okay, Johan G. All right. Okay. My counter recommendation is something that I have found hugely helpful in coping with 2017. Different people have different, and you know, let's be frank. We're talking about the Trump administration here. I assume. Johan, are you in another country? Well, yeah, even people in other countries know what we're going through here. 2017 means to me the year that this dipshit moved into the White House. Well, moved part-time into the White House. 2017 is dealing with the actually abrupt dismantling of democratic norms in this country, and it's insane, and it's disheartening, and it's crushingly depressing, and it's terrible. 2017 sucks. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. So different people cope with that different ways. You can laugh at it, and certainly some of it's amusing. You can avoid the news. I live in a blue state, so I can call Adam Schiff all I want. He's already banging the drum that I want him to bang. Really what I should do is move to Kentucky or something, entrench myself in a red state. So at any rate, 2017, a review of 2017, I would counter recommend this thing that has been hugely helpful to me in dealing with being an American in the year 2017. A woman from The Daily Show named Samantha Bee does a weekly show called Full Frontal. And Samantha Bee, there's all these, John Oliver and Noah Trevor and the Yahoos who are doing from Saturday Night Live, who are doing the slot on the networks at 10:30. All of these talk shows making fun of Trump. It's mostly dudes, right? I mean, what, does Chelsea Handler still have a show? Samantha Bee is, and Samantha Bee isn't it's not like chick comedy or anything, but she brings a unique perspective. It affects women more, it affects women differently and in more dire ways what's happening in this country. And Samantha Bee is an amazing lens through which to look at and feel outrage about 2017, and she's hilarious at it, and she's clever. And I say her, she's really good about crediting her writing staff as well. So if you don't watch Full Frontal, every Wednesday night, as soon as Wednesday nights for me, sit down and see what Samantha Bee is doing. That's my counter recommendation. For dealing with 2017, Samantha Bee and her writing staff, it's just been hugely helpful. So there you go, there's my counter recommendation. All right, out of these 27 suggestions for review requests, here we go. This is randomresult.com. It's going to choose a number between 1 and 27. Okay, let's see if I can do this so you guys see first what gets chosen. The winner is, shoot, did it go? I'm so terrible at doing this. The winner is, come on, you stupid iPad. There. Oh, wait, there it is. Wait, 4. Okay, hold on. Andy Daly's review. Well, okay, to be fair, let me drop some math on you guys. So Jeff S. and Alex C. voted for Andy Daly's review. So that had 2 votes, right? Now, one of 2 things was always going to happen. I mean, this is seriously, when they chose Andy Daly's review, it was either going to be picked or it wasn't going to be picked, right? There's no third option, right? So there's a 100% chance that one of 2 things is going to happen, right? Why do you know this already? Because it's math. 100 divided by 2, it's 50. So therefore, there's a 50% chance when you vote for Andy Daly's review that it will get chosen. Every one of these, by the way, 50% chance of winning. It'll either win or it won't. So when 2 people vote for Andy Daly's review, I ask you, what is 50 plus 50? So of course it won. So there you go, Andy Daly's review. I look forward to watching this. My counter recommendations of Cataclysm, and Another Evil. That's to you, Jeff S. and Alex C. Check those out. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. This has been awesome. I love doing these every month. Keep these coming. And I'll see you guys in about a month. All right, cheers.